What is the movement along the IS curve? Now, this is an IS curve which is given to you. Say you are at this point. Okay. Say this is point A and this is point B. Now, when you move from point A to B, what is happening? If you move from point A to B, first thing which you would see is that interest rate is falling. Interest rate is lower at point B as compared to point A. Now, because of lower interest rate, investment is higher. And because investment is higher, demand is higher. That is, autonomous demand or autonomous spending is higher. When autonomous demand is higher, output is higher or income is higher. Because income is higher, consumption is higher at point B. So what is happening when you move from point A to B, interest rate is lower because of negative relationship between investment and interest rates. Investment is higher because interest rate is lower at point B. All of this is at point B. Then aggregate expenditure is given by C plus I plus G. But you know this, that investment is higher, and because of that aggregate expenditure is higher. You also know this, that Y is equal to AE. Because AE is higher, your output is higher or income is higher. Well, you know this, that C is equal to C naught plus BY. This is your consumption function. When Y is higher, consumption is higher. So at point B, investment is higher as compared to point A. Demand is higher as compared to point A. Output is higher as compared to point A. And even consumption is higher as compared to point A. Note that movement from A to B is the movement along the demand curve. In case if you want to look at the shift in the demand curve, what you will do is that you will keep the interest rate constant and then you will see what are the factors which could shift the demand curve. In case if you look at this, now there is a shift in the demand curve from IS1 to IS2. What could have shifted this demand curve from, IS curve from IS1 to IS2? Say for example, there is increase in government expenditure. Fine. In case if there is an increase in government expenditure, then what will happen? Aggregate expenditure is given by C plus I for a given interest rate plus G. This is there. And what you have seen is that you have increased the amount of government expenditure at a given level of interest rate. There is no change in the interest rate, but at equilibrium, Y is equal to AE. So when government expenditure is increasing at a given level of interest rate, this Y also have to increase. So at a given level of interest rate, Y will increase from Y1 to Y2. You could see this. Y would increase from Y1 to Y2. Fine. Similarly, even at the lower level of interest rate, if you have thought of carrying out more government expenditure, then this will stimulate demand in the economy, even at any level of interest rate. So at a given level of interest rate, the amount of output which is generated will be higher in case if any of the autonomous spending variables, say for example G, in case if the government spending increases, in case if autonomous spending increases, autonomous consumption expenditure increases, in case if autonomous investment increases, or in case if these taxes will fall, then the change in any of these variables will cause the IS curve to shift rightwards. Now this is an example where IS curve is shifting towards left. How it could shift towards left? Suppose your investment is falling. Investment falls. Now because investment is falling, then you have y is equal to c plus I plus g. Okay, note that the level of interest rates are same, but investment has fallen from I1 to I2 at a given level of interest rate because of some other reason. Okay, some any other exogenous reason, and this investment has fallen, and because of this fall in investment for a given level of consumption expenditure and government expenditure, this y also have fallen. So there is a leftward shift in the IS curve at a given level of interest rate, as you could see. Clear? So this is there. Now, in case if I ask you, could you compare these 2 points, E1 and E2, at two IS curves? This you have already done. This is a shift in the IS curve. Say for example, at E1 and E2. Now suppose G is increasing. What is happening? At a given level of interest rate, IS curve will move outward from IS1 to IS2. You know this, that AE is equal to C plus I plus G. But G has increased, so aggregate expenditure is increasing and hence Y is also increasing. Your demand is increasing. Y is increasing, as you could see here. Consumption is also increasing because C is equal to C naught plus C1Y. When Y is increasing, C will also increase. Now, because there is a direct relationship between output and investment, that is I, which is a function of yi. Now there is a direct, for a given level of interest rate, and there is a direct relationship between output and investment. When output is increasing or your income is increasing, investments will also increase. So what you have seen is that in your aggregate expenditure curve, C plus I plus G has increased. You have supposed that investment has increased because output has increased and consumption also has increased. So all of these 3 variables, they have increased, and hence aggregate expenditure would increase, and hence IS curve will shift outwards at a given level of interest rate. And this is the comparison between point E1 and point E2. Note that multiplier is not changing. There is no change in the multiplier because what is your multiplier? Multiplier is 1 upon 1 minus C here, as there are no taxes, nothing here. So it is multiplier is just 1 upon 1 minus C, and when this MPC is not changing, so your multiplier is also not changing. Okay, so what you have gathered from these from this recording is that what is the movement along an IS curve, what happens when you shift an IS curve, and why does IS curve shift rightward or leftward, what are the factors which are involved in shifting of the IS curve, and suppose government expenditure increases, and you can also compare the points along an IS curve. You could also have compared point E1 and E3 for that matter. That is the movement along the IS curve at point E1 and E3. This is the same thing which we have done here in this part of the recording. Okay, thanks.